Hey there, podcast enthusiasts. Are you ready to add a little sparkle to your day? If you're loving the insightful conversations and captivating stories on Mirror Talk Podcast, here's a friendly nudge to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on the empowering messages and thought provoking discussions we bring to your ears. But wait, there's more. We're all about spreading positivity and inspiration, and you can be a part of it too. How? By sharing the love with your friends and family. Share this episode with your loved ones, and let's create a ripple effect of empowerment and growth together. And hey, if you've been enjoying what you hear, why not take a moment to leave us a glowing 5-star review? Your feedback fuels our passion to keep delivering content that resonates with you. So hit that subscribe button, share the love, and leave us a review. Let's keep the conversation going and spread the Mirror Talk magic far and wide. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, your support means the world to us.
Today's guest shows people how to unlock and unleash their unique genius to positively impact the world and experience true life fulfillment. He's an award-winning author and a recovering mathematician and a master astrologer. Welcome to the show, Howard. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Mirror Talk. I really appreciate your presence and your time right now to share and enlighten us about experiencing true life fulfillment. But before we dive into the topics and the different questions that I have prepared for you, could you please share the major career challenge that you faced while seeking to transition from the field of mathematics and academia, and what made you make this transition, and how did it change your life?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I'd love to share that. I started out in life in the field of mathematics. I got my master's degree. Then I was in a PhD program,
Mm.
a very intensive program, as you can imagine. And then I reached a point where I was taking my oral exams. You know, the PhD program have that.
Yeah.
And I didn't pass the oral exam. It was a very grueling, a grueling experience. And the committee decided that they wanted me to take the exam again.
Mm.
And it was a turning point for me because I felt like I had gone as far as I could go, and there was something deep inside me that was saying I need to move in a new direction.
Mm.
Okay, and it was intense. It was emotional. It was confusing. I went through a whole summer in kind of just completely confused about my life. Didn't know what was going to happen. And finally, there was some illumination and clarity that started to come in. I realized that I needed to have a deeper spiritual, metaphysical understanding of me, myself, the universe, etc.
Mm.
And I signed up to study astrology at a local institute that was near where I lived at the time on the East Coast, United States. And once I started to study that, things started to open up and started to make sense. And I started to get clarity and direction. And I realized that although I love mathematics and it was a fantastic career field for me, but it was not my true ultimate life path. That I had basically another destiny
Mm.
of really why I was here and what I was here really to do.
Yeah.
And it was related to the fact that to recognize that people can discover their path, their genius, their purpose. They can discover it through a definable, duplicatable process. They can do it. It's not a mystery. It's not, like something unattainable that only some rare people can get to. It's something
Mm.
anybody can get to.
Mm.
It's like a recipe in a way, some kind of a formula. Anyway, from that point, many things opened up for me. I moved to California from New York, and all kinds of things opened up, and I went to graduate school at the California Institute of Integral Studies. I started my practice in astrology, in the San Francisco area. And then eventually, soon after that, I founded the life crafting program. I began, of course, it wasn't called life crafting back then.
Yeah.
We had a different name, but it evolved progressively. And of course, back then there was no internet. There were barely people with computers. There was no iPhones, things like that. So
Mm.
we began with what we had, and it built and built and built progressively. Then in later years, I added more technology, more systems, more tools. Uh, and of course, then the internet started to become more developed. So there was an internet audience, public speaking, et cetera, et cetera. And then writing my book, Craft Your Genius Life.
Mhm.
And then everything just kept continuing to develop, and it's never stopped. I mean, right now we're teaching a cryptocurrency course,
Mm.
a startup cryptocurrency course, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then that, of course, is synergistically interweaving with all the other tools, so
Mm.
that as people achieve financial freedom, say in 1 or 2 years, it of course it accelerates all the other things that they're
Mm.
learning. So
Yeah.
everything works with everything else. And
Uh,
that's the brief version of the story.
that's so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So can you, walk me through the model that you've developed or you created from your story? Like, you experienced, this this disappointment or these low points in your life, but you were able to come out of it by designing and by creating like a model for your life fulfillment, and which is
Yeah,
different.
well, yeah, I would say that there were that, and even though I did not realize this at the time,
Mm.
but I was actually following the recipe, like more or less on an instinctual level, and there were people that guided me back then in a, I guess you would say, in a more primitive way, more basic way.
Yeah.
But and nevertheless, I was following the recipe that we now teach to people and we take for granted, works.
Mm.
So what I did was, first of all, I made sure that I had good cash flow, to cover my expenses, my basic needs in life. And then I went through. At the time, there was a career change program in New York. It was one of the earliest programs for people making a career change that ever existed in the whole United States. It was super way back. And it was a fascinating thing because it was developed by a Protestant minister and a Jungian analyst came together and they developed this. It was in Midtown Manhattan. Anyway, there's a whole long story behind that. But anyway, I went through their program, and uh, again, it was crude by today's standards, but it got me focused on what I love. It got me focused on my passion and what I love, and it allowed me to bring together all these gifts from different places where I could combine them, and I started to see it, and there were some personal experiences that happened to me as well, in like in parties that I attended, where people would say things like, "I don't know what I want to be when I grow up." And I would ask them a bunch of questions, and then 30 minutes later, all the color in their face changed. Everything was like they came alive. And they said, Howard, how did you do that? How did you know to ask me that or to say that?
Yeah.
And I said, I have no idea. It was just my own curiosity, okay?
Mm. Mm.
And so, anyways, then after that happened several times, I said, wait a minute, something's going on here. I need to figure out what's really going on. So I essentially did a reverse engineering of what I was doing instinctively and figured out what I was actually doing
Mm.
so I could make it into a repeatable recipe and formula. And that's really how life crafting was born. It was born out of that core direct experience, but then we put systems in place and methods in place and we taught them, and it became more defined and concrete.
Yeah, oh, that's great. I would love to dive into this life crafting. I would love you to tell us how we could discover and live our life purpose. How can we do that? How can we discover the life purpose and live our true life purpose?
How can we discover our purpose and then live our purpose? That what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a few pieces to it. The first thing is you really need to allow yourself to not know the answer.
Mm,
In other words, like empty the vessel. Begin with this empty space, open space, and not be influenced by all of the things of the past, like what's on your resume and what degrees you've earned and what your parents say and all these kinds of things. Just put it all aside, clean slate, clean slate.
mm,
Start from scratch.
mm,
Again, as I said earlier, make sure you can pay your bills. Don't try to do this if you're struggling financially, because if you are, you're going to be influenced by, I got to make money, I got to make money, and then that's going to interfere with the discovery of, the gaining clarity and
mm,
your true discovery. So just like Maslow said in his hierarchy of needs, take care of your basic needs first.
mhm.
Once you're ready to pursue what Maslow called self-actualization,
Yeah.
then begin to discover, what do I truly love? Now, let me give you a little metaphor here for your audience. I think that will be helpful.
Mm,
Imagine you have a pot of soup on the stove on slow simmer,
mm,
and you're adding to the soup everything that you love and everything that has ever had meaning, any meaning to you or any value to you in your life. You just keep adding it and adding it and adding it. You keep stirring it and stirring it. I'm not separating personal, professional, everything. Just everything gets added to the soup and it's all blending.
mm.
All right, got the
Yes.
image. Now let's fast forward to dinner time.
Mm,
You're at dinner time and your guests have arrived and you're going to serve your soup to your guests, all right? And you
yes.
give them the soup and you're watching them
Mm.
and they're not saying anything. But they have this look on their face of
Mm.
astonishment.
Yeah.
They have this look on their face like astonishment. And one man, he, just says it's remarkable. And then this woman mutters under her breath, I don't understand this. It doesn't taste like anything you put into it,
Mm.
like like anything you put into it. And in that moment, a realization occurs, and you realize, well, I birthed something new here, and in fact, the whole is greater than the sum of all its parts. So
Mm.
that's the that's the essence of life crafting, of discovering the magic and your true identity, your true deepest truth,
Yeah.
through putting all the parts together and letting them blend
Mm.
and being your creative essence, and see where that takes you.
Yeah.
Not worrying about the money, not worrying, well, can I earn money doing this? Those kinds of questions are important, but they need to be asked later, not when you're in the creative discovery process. There's plenty of time to get practical and focus on income and money and marketing and all this that comes later.
Yeah.
So that's hopefully gives you a sense of it. But when we have clients in life crafting, we take them through a distinct set of exercises where they keep making more and more discoveries, and then the discoveries begin to sort of coalesce. They're not like just scattered dots on a page randomly. There's always a meaning. There's always a message. There's always an intention. And if you keep discovering the truth and you keep adding and adding more and more truth,
Mm.
guess what? The truth speaks. The truth has a message. The truth, it adds up to
Yeah.
something defined and definite that you feel and you can write about and speak about.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's the whole. And the other thing is we use the analytical mind, we use the creative mind, we use visualization, we use writing, journal writing. We also work on beliefs and clearing out limiting beliefs that get in the way
Mm.
of gaining clarity and passion,
Yeah.
because most people are filled with limiting beliefs about what they can be or do or have in life, and those things will literally just shut you down if you
Mm.
don't clear them out. So we teach people how to clear them out with a unique method of transforming limiting beliefs that we teach.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. And then the more that you are connected mentally and emotionally to your purpose and passion, and the more you express it to others, and the more you get feedback from others that they're feeling that sense of truthfulness in you, that then it just becomes like this unbelievable force, this unbelievable, like divinely inspired energy and force in you that funnels out from there. Then we move into the practical phase of the program, and we talk about the business, your ideal business, what will that be, and how to define it, and how to what the pricing is, what the packaging is, all the complete business coaching elements. We put all that in,
Yeah.
but it lives on the foundation of this first stage that I've described to you, this life purpose stage.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you made mention of, limiting beliefs. So I would love you to teach us how we could break free from our limiting beliefs. How can we do that?
Okay, well, the first thing to recognize is that beliefs are formed at a very early stage in life. They're formed like at age 2, 3, 4, and they're formed mostly at the subconscious level. So you cannot change beliefs mentally, and the beliefs that you think you have mentally or intellectually are rarely the beliefs that are really holding you back. So you need a method, first of all, that helps you determine what are the actual culprits, like what are the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. And we have a method. We
Mm.
teach you a method for doing that. The method allows you to go from your experience back to the beliefs that created it, because it's a formula. It's a loop. Beliefs create experience. Experience reinforces the correctness of the belief,
Mm.
which makes it stronger, and then it goes around and around in a loop. So we help you identify those deep limiting beliefs that live at a deeper level in you, and then we teach you a method for shifting those beliefs. It's got to be done internally. It's an inner process that deals with emotion and your body.
Mm.
It's the feelings and the energy of beliefs live at a body level. They live at a deep emotional level. If you try to change them in your mind, it's a waste of time, because
Yeah.
that's just like a pep talk,
Mm.
like giving somebody a pep talk doesn't do anything, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, so once, would you like me to give you like some examples? And
Yes, of course, please.
okay, so let's say you have a man has a son, and the man totally loves his son. He just totally dedicated and wants his son to have the greatest possible life. But the man believes life is hard because it's been hard for him. His whole life, it's been hard.
Mm.
So he thinks he's helping his son by telling his son at age 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, son, life is hard. Got to make the best of it. Life is hard. You got to make the best of it.
Mm.
And this keeps getting reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. This is one example of how beliefs are formed. Now, by the time this boy is 10, this belief has already been completely programmed into
Yeah.
his subconscious, and he doesn't even remember consciously that his dad even said it.
Mm.
But
That's
now
true.
we fast forward to 40. He's now 40 years of age, and his life is a struggle. His life is a struggle, and he has no idea why. This
Yeah.
this belief has been running him forever.
Mm.
So unless somebody takes him by the shoulders and shakes him like this, then you have a limiting belief. Wake up, wake up.
Mm.
Unless something like that happens, he is gonna likely to be just continuing to run this out, like a computer program that's
Yeah.
encrypted in a file in your biocomputer, but you don't have the key to unlock it, and you can't decode it or debug the program. It's
Mm.
locked in.
Yeah.
So in life crafting, we give you the method for opening the file,
Mm.
for decrypting it, for identifying what's there, and then shifting the beliefs again at the emotional level so that you can determine yourself that the belief has actually been changed. It's not us telling you, it's you telling you, oh my God, my belief is shifted and these are my life experiences have changed because of that. And you
Yes.
see it and feel it and it's real for you. And if it isn't real for you, there's a belief that still needs to be shifted. I mean, it's, the proof is in the pudding, like we always say, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you need to learn the skill. These are skills. They're not skills like carpentry or plumbing. They're skills that are inner skills, interpersonal mastery skills.
Yeah. Can you share some of these skills and tools that we could use to, change our mindset that we could use to achieve our, life fulfilling desires that we want?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking. Can you say again?
Yes, no problem. I said, can you please share some of these skills and tools that we need to achieve the
Oh yeah,
fulfilling life
yes,
that we want?
yes. Of course, I'd be happy to. The primary method that we teach people to use
Mm,
is a question that you ask yourself that allows you to connect your experience to your beliefs. And the question works like this. The question is, what would somebody need to believe in order to experience blank? So let's say for argument's sake that the experience you'd like to change is anxiety. Let's say you're experiencing worry or anxiety about whatever thing in your life. So the way the question would be worded is, what might somebody need to believe in order to feel anxiety in their career, or anxiety in their business, or anxiety in their life fulfillment?
mm,
Once you ask that question, boom, now you're on this path to write down all these limiting beliefs that start coming up as you keep asking that question. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
so let's say somebody does that and they just start on a pad and pen and they just start writing down all the beliefs that could possibly be, that could possibly fit this, right?
yeah.
And that's the first step. That's the perfect first step. So let's say you've got 10 or 15 beliefs on the page
Mm,
that you've written down, right? And
yes.
you do this very, very quickly. Not a lot of thinking, not a lot of analysis, because you want to just get your like free association, like your instinctual response to the question. Okay.
Mm, yeah.
Then once you have your list, your next step is to determine which of the beliefs on your list has an emotional charge. What do I mean by that? An emotional charge means that when you say or write the belief, you feel and feelings come up for you in your body, that you feel anger, frustration, sadness, confusion, whatever it is that you experience. It could be anything: despair, hopelessness, doubt. And when you recognize that there's an emotional charge next to a belief,
Yeah.
you put a little star next to it. So now let's say a list of you have a list of beliefs. You have some stars next to. Then you now know which are the beliefs that are causing the most harm to you, that are limiting you the most, the ones you've starred.
Mm,
Then you simply circle one that you decide that you want to shift,
yeah.
and then you have to do the inner work. Then you have to be guided to take that specific belief, go inside your body, and there's a process we teach of how to identify that belief, that energy, that feeling in your body that is there, to
Mm,
feel it, and then we teach you how to feel it, experience it, not avoid it, not resist it, but allow it, and then let it and release it. So there's some steps involved, but it's an internal experiential process
yeah.
of feeling it and letting it go, feeling and letting it go. Now, once you've let go of limiting belief, now you can replace that belief
Mm,
with an empowering belief. So you learn how to formulate a replacement belief that really empowers you, that's that's exciting and fun and motivating, and has the kind of energies to it
Yeah.
that you want to cultivate and have. And then
Mhm.
you drop down in your body again and you let yourself feel that new belief that is now something that you want to be real in your life. And you just let it sink in and sink in and feel it and feel it and feel it and feel it. And then start noticing the ripple effects, kind of like throwing the rock in the pond, the ripple effects. And then little by little, you start noticing that your life is shifting based on the new belief that you've now acquired. Now, of course, here, I'm being somewhat simplistic. I can't go into every detail, but you
Yeah.
get the general gist of what I mean, right?
Yes, of course. Of course. Yes.
And
No,
then when people, are curious to learn more, they can come in and we can talk, and I can help them go deeper and learn more and become fully skilled in this method. They can learn the whole thing, become fully skilled,
mm.
and be able to do it themselves with any area of their life and teach it within a matter of a few weeks of little practice. They can learn to do it and then teach it to others, teach it to all their family and friends.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to place the link to your website in the show notes of this episode. So anyone who is interested in, crafting the best life for themselves could contact you through
Yeah,
your email
well,
address or your.
there's several ways people can contact me. So people can always email me, Howard at lifecraftingprogram.com. Howard at lifecraftingprogram.com. They can always send me a note that we can start a conversation. And then they can also sign up for the life fulfillment roadmap page. I think I gave you the link for that.
Yeah.
If not, I can put it in our chat here, or we can whatever, you can put it in the program notes. And now the roadmap, of course, is phenomenal because it gives you the big picture, because it's a whole ebook that lets you see the roadmap for life fulfillment. So it
Mm.
breaks down, like I said earlier, all the stages, all the steps, and it does it and teaches everything in stories. Like you mentioned stories earlier, we use stories where we tell, in each stage how I worked with somebody and they learned that particular thing, and
Yeah.
you read about the story that happened for that particular person.
Yes,
And
that's
then
true.
again, if you want help, we're always available to give you help. We don't say, you have to buy this big thing. If you're there and you're communicating with us and you're motivated and you're serious, we will get you started. We'll help you get started.
Mm. Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much. All this information will be available in the show note of this episode. And I encourage everyone out there who's interested to get across to Howard and, fix something up. So earlier you were talking about spirituality and, how spirituality formed your life and made you who you are today. So I would love you to explain the relationship between spirituality and business, and how can we integrate both of them? How can we integrate, our spirituality into our business and into our life fulfillment journey?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I guess the first premise here that we're operating with is that you are an infinite spiritual being having a physical experience. Okay.
Mm.
Now, that may be foreign to a lot of people, especially maybe if their background is very strong in a particular religion or culture where they've never really thought that way
Yeah.
before.
Mm.
So there could be a process for some people of shifting or adapting their spiritual views or values. We don't teach anything that contradicts any religious teaching. We don't take issue. We don't say anything is right or wrong, good or bad. We don't place any judgments. We encourage people to follow whatever belief system or a spiritual practice that they deem to be right for them. If they're not sure, we help them discover again their spiritual values and views and develop that fully. Okay, So once you know that you have what we call a spiritual path, that you're here for a reason to learn certain lessons, to teach certain things, and to have certain experience and evolve to a higher state or more evolved state than where you began. And astrology comes into play in that in a big way because your birth chart, your natal birth chart that you're born with,
Yeah.
is basically a blueprint
Mm.
of this lifetime for you. It shows the whole picture of the point you're coming in
Mhm.
and what are the primary areas of your life that you're learning here, and what are your gifts, what are your soul gifts, etc. That you can give to others, help others. And so when you know your essence, when you through astrology, you can begin to access your essence, your spiritual essence, and your creative essence.
Mm.
You can resolve a lot of the areas of confusion or conflict that you may have lived with in life for many years, and you can start to get settled and validate you know who you really are, and start to feel really good and comfortable and and confident about who you truly are. Okay,
Mm.
and then the other part of astrology is the time, what I call the time map, because astrology is also a time machine. So it can go forward in time and it can see, not predict things, but it can see again, your evolution, but specifically within time frames, so that
Mm.
each time frame shows this is a time for this learning, this is a time for this learning.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who wants to transition in your career from, let's say, a corporate job to a creative business based on what you love, and you have a life crafting program and this journey
Mm.
with all the steps, now we can take astrology and we can overlay that on top of that whole map to see how it all plays out over time,
Mm.
and what is the optimum time for each aspect and for each part of this process.
Yeah.
Now, how do you know when you reach that inner knowing of what your deepest truth is? It's very emotional. It's very moving. It's a kind of a spiritual experience where you recognize what almost as if, I mean, one way to express it is almost as if God or the universe spoke to you and told you this is why you're here. It's a deep knowing. It's a deep knowing that transcends other kinds of knowing.
Mm.
You may have heard stories about near-death experiences when people come back
Yeah.
and they have this whole new awareness of why they're really here that they didn't have before. Well,
Mm.
you don't have to go through one of those experiences to learn that.
Mm.
You can learn it in other ways. You can learn it by using one of the kinds of processes that we've been discussing here.
Yeah.
Once you have what we call alignment to your spiritual path, once you're aligned, and it's like a vector, like in physics, you're going to be guided and directed moving forward to live true to that knowing. It's like a compass, like a compass heading that gives you focus and direction, and guides you to know what fits your purpose and what does not.
Yeah.
Okay, and then each thing validates when you pick something, it validates it.
Mm.
So if you pursue a business, you know that it feels right because you're
Mhm.
connected. To the
Mhm.
average person that's not connected, they're more or less just kind of floating around, pretty clueless about what's going on. And even if they've gotten, a master's in let's say in engineering or information technology, which what most people consider them, well, he's a smart guy or she's a smart gal, but it's all relative, right? It's all on different levels,
Mm.
and it's all relative. Okay, so
Yeah.
personal awareness and personal discovery and personal mastery are very, very different levels and areas than in intellectual or academic achievement or corporate success in terms of money or status or any of those things. We're talking about, very, very different areas here,
Yeah.
very different areas. So your inner knowing becomes your guidance, becomes your primary guidance in
Mm,
life. It's
mm,
what you know inside you to be true,
yeah.
and that becomes your guiding force. But you learn how to access the tools, the skills, the creativity, the knowing, and you're moved more by impacting the world rather than money, because you know that money is nothing more than the exchange of value.
Mm,
So if you use your gifts to create immense value for others, then you're going to receive immense value. The value equation, right, is going to equal itself out.
yeah.
And of course, you learn about the law of attraction, which many people have heard of, but they don't really, really understand, how it works.
Mm,
We give you such a concrete experience of the law of attraction. We help you, not we give it to you, we help you see for yourself how the law of attraction is working in every second of every day without fail. And you prove it to yourself. Then you know. So it's not this woo woo thing out there, right?
yeah. Yeah.
And you begin to see how all these pieces start to align together and work together. Make
Ah,
sense?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yes, yes,
You
that's great.
respect your intuition. You
Mm,
respect your what your heart says. You also respect your mind, and you also respect the input that others give you. But you
mm.
know how to filter and how to be discerning so that you're always in alignment with your deepest truth.
Yes, I love that. Always be in alignment with your deepest truth. That's great. Yeah. And
Yeah, does that help? Does that help fill in that gap there?
yes, it's wonderful. It's so great. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I love talking about this stuff, as you can tell.
Yeah, yes. So one more question that I do have is I am, in our journey of career or journey of life, basically, we have to
Yeah.
be confident. We have to have that
Yeah.
self-confidence. So
Yes,
can you
exactly.
walk me through the four pillars of self-confidence?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's very, very important. Okay, so the 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 simpler confidence is actually a lot simpler than people imagine it to be.
Mm,
All confidence really is having a series of wins, a series of successes. If you start with any area of life that you want to build, you want to build confidence. You pick an area, whatever that may be. You want to be very clear
mm,
what it is that you want to be confident about,
yeah.
and you take one little tiny baby step.
Mm,
A baby step that is so tiny and so simple that you have absolutely no doubt in your mind that you can accomplish it.
mm,
Do not be fooled by how simple it is. And the reason I say that is because the subconscious mind is very literal.
mm,
It doesn't judge things like, oh, well, that was just too simple, so therefore it doesn't count.
mm,
Your subconscious doesn't operate that way. So if you pick something so tiny and so simple that you know you can do it and you complete it successfully,
yeah.
your subconscious mind will register it as a win, and you will build some measure of confidence from that one single win.
Mm,
Don't discount that. Now, if you do another baby step, pretty much the same as the first, and again win, you will have another boost of confidence from winning. Okay?
yes.
And you continue that process going 3, 4, 5, 6 times, maybe incrementally increasing the level of challenge just maybe by a tiny, tiny bit,
Mm-hmm.
but continuing to get that series of successes and wins, and feel the increase in confidence that you have. Okay, now let's add a couple of ingredients to this so you get the general gist of it. Okay, Now I'll add a few layers to this. Suppose you had, in addition to this, you had a support system of 4 or 5 incredibly loving and caring people in your life that
Mm,
gave you honest feedback. They were smart, they were incisive, they knew what you were doing in life, and they gave you super honest feedback that would allow you to keep making adjustments, right? So now you're taking your baby steps, you're going win, but you're also navigating the car, you're also turning the wheel, you're also making adjustments, right? So you're staying on course better
yeah,
than you would if you were all on your own.
yeah.
Because now you've got a whole team behind you
Mm,
helping you steer and helping you go forward. So that's increasing your momentum more and your confidence more. Okay. Now
yes.
let's add another layer to this. Let's say you've already learned in life crafting how to identify limiting beliefs and shift them, like we said earlier. So
Mm,
you're on your spiral and you're winning, but you hit up against a point where for some reason it's just really hard and it's really tough and you're having difficulty getting through it.
mm,
Well, you press pause, you go over here, you do the work on the limiting belief, you shift the limiting belief that's there, you replace it with an empowering one. Now you get back right back on your bicycle again and you keep the spiral going, right?
yeah,
So
that's true.
every one of these tools is now working for you on your behalf.
Mm,
Everything is adding to everything else, but it's much more so than if you were the average Joe or Jane doing everything alone, no support system, no clue about your path in life, no clue what you're doing. I mean, that's the typical scenario. Unfortunately, that people are clueless and they're just, you know, jumping around. Have this reaction, that reaction. They have no emotional mastery. And so then of course it's difficult because then it's sort of a hit and miss. It becomes a hit and miss thing.
of
But when
course.
you have a support system and mentoring and focus and clarity and know why you're doing what you're doing in life, everything, and you add all these tools and skills, everything changes.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And that way we are able to achieve a life fulfilling, we're able to achieve our life fulfillment desires, basically.
But
Yes.
I mostly want your audience to understand that there are many pieces that go into this. It's not a one slam dunk, quick fix,
Mm,
and then you're all done. And many people, I don't know, a lot of people resist or don't like the fact that it's a process and that they have to make a commitment to learning distinct skills and methods in
mm,
order to get where they want to go. They want everything just quick and simple,
mm, mm,
and so they have to really shift to a perspective where they're willing to do the inner work in order to get the outer result. But in our program, the inner work is fun. I mean, it's exhilarating, it's fun, it's amazing, it's creative, and then your outer results when you achieve success, of course, those are to be celebrated. But we have all of it be fun. We have all of it be enjoyable. We even make it a game like accountability, which most people think is dry and boring, and you have to make promises. We make that a game. We
mm.
make even promises a game.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's great. So, can you just tell us a little bit more about the services that you offer, your programs, and what's the best way to connect with you?
Okay, good. Well, now you have the links, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so the first offer, and I think the most important one, is called the Life Fulfillment Roadmap.
Mm,
And it's basically an ebook. It's about 40 pages. And you'll have the link in the program notes so that you can get it. You just go to a page, you put your name and email in there, and you will be able to download the entire roadmap ebook. And that's going to give you, as we said earlier, this whole breakdown, step by step, where you can go from wherever you are now, whatever place that is, like you could be in the corporate job, at wit's end, bored to tears, not knowing what your future is, not, that you have your kids in college and you've got to keep earning the money and all those kinds of conflicts and stuff that people often find themselves in. So you could be there,
Mm.
and the roadmap will show you every single step of the way, all the way to the point of having a totally fulfilled life doing what you love, all in one roadmap. Now, if you get the roadmap, you start reading it, you start applying it, and you have questions, you can contact us. You don't have to buy anything. You can just contact us and we'll help you with it. So
Yeah.
the emphasis here is it's a partnership. We want to have a partnership with you so that you can see that you can create the breakthroughs and achieve the results, okay? But you have to begin with the big picture, and the roadmap lets you see the big picture because most people don't have a big picture view. So they're like this, they don't know where to start, where to begin. They're just at wit's end. So they're all in an emotional, reaction uh, and frustration to wherever they are. So begin by taking a step back, get the roadmap, begin to read, relax, know that the answers are there, the answers are available. You can find all the parts. So that's number one, and the one offer. The
Yeah.
other offer is a free copy of my book, uh, Craft Your Genius Life. And that book is a bit more metaphysical. It's a little bit more metaphysical, and it's a little bit more spiritual growth oriented, and it has a whole chapter on astrology. It has mindfulness practices that you can learn, and it guides you all through the steps of purpose and unique genius. And it even has a chapter on relationships that will help you to transform any relationship with actually with two very simple exercises that you will learn. You can take any relationship and make it extraordinary just by learning these skills. They're skills that are not taught in school. They're not, even relationship coaches don't know them, don't teach them. Okay, and I say all the time, if people had these two exercises and skills, half the couple counselors in the country would go out of business. They wouldn't have any work because people would solve their own problems. They would know exactly how to do that and know exactly what's getting in the way. And it's one, oh, I want to also, I just remembered something. I want your audience to know my core philosophy, which is that nobody is broken and nobody needs to be fixed. Okay?
Yeah.
Everybody is perfect exactly the way you are, and the only thing missing is skills
Mm.
that you were not taught. Because we don't live in an enlightened society that recognizes when you're in the third and fourth grade that you need to have self-awareness of your emotions, your feelings, and be able to communicate with others responsibly, and that it's important to know your purpose for being here. We don't have an educational system yet that has that level, of enlightenment. So you have to get that, you have to learn that someplace else
Yeah.
from where your normal schooling is.
Mm.
And as we evolve as a society and we get back to a place where a loving world and a place of integrity and truth uh, and freedom, then people are going to start to develop these skills at earlier stages in life and learn from each other and teach them to each other. So it won't be this missing thing that everybody lacks.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, thank you so much, Howard. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate everything I'm going to learn from you in this episode. Thank you so much. It
Oh,
has
you're
been awesome.
welcome. This was a lot of fun, and I look forward to helping your audience in any way I can.
Yeah, that's awesome.